You can't help but like John Sato when you meet him. He's quick-witted, full to the brim with stories, and he's also incredibly humble. 95-year-old John inspired many when he was photographed arm-in-arm with the police officer and actor Bruce Hopkins taking part in an anti-racism rally after the Christchurch Mosque attacks. He'd taken 4 buses to make the 20-kilometre journey from his East Auckland home to Altea Square. 2 months on, as we walked together from his home to the bus stop, John explained to me that travelling on buses was a normal part of his life. It was the only way he could see his daughter Anne, who was blind and couldn't speak, and lived in a residential facility almost 30 kilometres away in Weymouth.
To get one bus to Botany and one to Manukau and one from Manukau to Weymouth.
Yeah.
And then the return trip the same, you know.
Yeah.
But you don't sort of counter the distance, you focus on what the person.
Yeah.
You know, it's maybe I've got a peculiar way of looking at things, but that's the way I found it. Anne was more important.
Yeah.
And the only way to see her was to do this.
So when you took those 4 buses to the march, that was just something that you do?
Yes, that's right.
So were you surprised that people were so
I was
taken by it?
Well, I was, because I thought, well, I couldn't understand it really, but then on reflection I thought, oh well, they probably saw this bent old body and they think, oh, he looks a bit weird. I'll take a photo of him.
But people loved it. Did you expect that at all? Did you expect the
I didn't expect anything like that, no.
No.
I wasn't interested in publicity or anything, it's not my game.
But publicity he got. Mr Sato's image was shared around the world, and it led him to a meeting with Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern.
It wasn't the Prime Minister I met. I met a particularly fine young lady. Mm-hmm. That's the way it was to me.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in the title.
No.
And she was showing great care and compassion, and she was genuine.
Mr Sato says he gets recognised from time to time now.
If people have thanked me or went to shake my hands or something.
Yeah.
And someone the other day when I was waiting for the bus up at the village said, oh, I saw you in the paper.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't know I fit in there. And she said, oh, I must have. Yeah, she wasn't too sure. Walks on, you know. I mean, I'm not sneaky like that.
But going viral wasn't something Mr Sato ever anticipated happening. In fact, he's a man who spent much of his life caring for others. Over a cup of hot chocolates, he told me about his life. Born to a Japanese father and a Scottish mother in New Zealand, John spent most of his childhood in Perth, Australia. He moved back here at 12, and that's when he first remembers meeting his father. John says he was a quiet child, interested in learning.
I was a bad asthmatic all the time. I was extremely delicate. I went to school when I was young. I loved it.
At 18, he was called up to join the army, serving in World War II. There, he made some friends for life.
That's Wally. You know, he's the chap, we were like brothers in the same unit.
Flicking through his photo album, a young John is seen with many young women.
They weren't my girlfriends either.
No?
No.
Just friends that were girls?
I wasn't exactly a monk, but I wasn't sort of... I was too shy. I never felt, too, I had girlfriends that was always very nice and I was very polite.
Yeah.
And some of them obviously thought, oh, well, you know, end the usual way of marriage or something. But I always felt I had nothing to give.
He met his wife Margaret in his late 30s.
We had a lot in common, and we liked the same sort of music and all that. And she said one time that she suggested we get married.
Oh, she suggested?
Yes, that's what Margaret said.
Okay.
I don't even remember.
No proposal from you?
No, well, no. I wasn't a proposing type.
Oh, okay.
I had nothing to give.
The couple had one daughter, Anne.
Anne, she was a real sweetie, and I mean that too. She had so much to put up with.
So she was born blind, and then she had epilepsy.
She totally blind, couldn't see light.
And then she
epilepsy.
And so then.
And she got this virus that they couldn't say what it was, and it got the area and brain to control speech.
One of the greatest battles John's ever fought was for his daughter. In the 80s, the government began changing the care offered to adults with intellectual disabilities, moving from hospital environments into the community. Mr Sato and some other families didn't believe this was the right option for their loved ones, and they worked to provide a different service.
After 12 years battling, we built a village in Weymouth.
During that time, he met with many politicians.
You learnt the best of and the worst of humanity with some of them.
And in the end, they were successful, creating the ResCare Homes Trust.
The one at Weymouth now has 17 houses, 6-bedroom, specially designed, not just nurses, always a nurse on site, 1 or 2 at any rate, because it's 24-hour care. And also there was got a therapist, and every house had a vehicle to take them out.
He and his wife remained involved with the facility for many years.
Mother used to make some of the clothes for some, they'll mend them and all that.
Yeah.
And I made a little garden there for Anne, and we all sort of worked in together. It was a group.
Yeah.
And the staff, so-called, they were family more or less. They were doing what we couldn't do, caring for family members. And it's the only setup like in New Zealand. Other psychopedic hospitals in New Zealand tried to do it, and they weren't able.
Margaret died 15 years ago, and John continued travelling to see Anne until her death at 50 years old in October last year. He still keeps himself busy. Every other week he spends time with people who've had strokes, and he's got himself a fan.
The stroke club, I go there and we give them a hug, I do. And one lady, she bent over double, she's elderly, got a stick, and she's brought, and really badly disabled physically. And when she sits down, I give her a hug and a kiss on the cheek. That's not good enough for her.
Oh.
Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
Does it mean a lot to you to go and do those things?
I just sort of gravitate to some of these things. I said in recent times, the way I found it, if you can't be useful while you're here.
For John, we all learn from each other, and he says he's always had an inquisitive mind.
I always had this thing about why. In that part of my life, I had the answer to why. And I saw my lawyer a while back, and I was telling her, and she said, "Did you find the answer?" And I said, "Yes."
So what is it?
She said, "What is it?"
Yeah.
I said, "I can't tell you. Each person's got to find their own answer. I'm not the teacher."
Has life changed for you since you became, I guess, a little bit famous?
Well, I don't see myself as famous. You see, this is the whole thing.
Yeah.
I find it a bit strange, really, but if people find something in it for them, well, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But I'm not any different to anyone else, really.
No.
I'm not out to sort of wave the flag and say, "Here I am." I can't be bothered with that rubbish.
No.
People are people.